Good morning, fifth graders. I hope everyone had a fantastic spring break and are ready to tackle the fourth marking period. So today we're going to start a new topic. It is topic 15 and it's lesson 15-1. Right now I am on page 813 in your workbook. So I would suggest turning to that page 813 and following along and completing this problem as I do it with you guys. All right, so this topic's all about number patterns and numerical patterns. And I really like this because it's almost like solving a riddle, trying to figure out what the rule is, and then eventually we're going to learn how from a pattern we can graph. So we're going to be graphing on the coordinate grid too in this chapter. All right, so it says Emma has $100 in her savings account. Jorge has $50 in his savings account. They each put $10 in their accounts at the end of the week. Complete the tables to see how much each of them has saved after 5 weeks. What patterns do you notice? All right, so let's start with Emma. Emma has $100 to start. Each week, how much money does Emma put in her savings account each week? Well, $10, okay? So we have to add. So if she had 100, she adds $10. Now she has $110. And you keep going. Week 2, another $10, $120. Week 3, another $10, $130, $140, $150. So after 5 weeks, adding $10 each week, okay, $150 she has saved. Now let's look at Jorge. He had $50 to start. How much does he add each week? Well, he adds also $10. So 50 plus $10 is 60. 60 plus $10, 70, 80, 90, 100. All right, and that's really all we were doing, but now we have to answer the question, how much each of them has saved after 5 weeks. Well, Emma saved $150 after 5 weeks. Jorge saved $100. What patterns do you notice for Emma and Jorge? Are there any patterns that you notice? Well, something that I noticed is that Emma in the beginning had $50 more than Jorge. How many more dollars at the end did Emma have? She had 50 again, okay? Because they were adding the same amount each week, okay? So the difference between the money that they had each week was always going to be $50 because they were always adding the same amount, which is $10. If Emma was adding $2 and Jorge was adding $10, the difference would not be the same each week, okay? But since they were adding the same amount each week, it's always going to stay $50 apart, all right? So my question is, if they keep adding $10 each week, is Jorge ever going to save more money than Emma? No, he is not. If they keep adding $10 each week, week 6, Emma will still have more money saved. Week 7, Emma will still have more money saved. What is the only way that Jorge could possibly save more money than Emma? What's a way that Jorge maybe could save more money than Emma? What could he do? Well, maybe instead of putting $10 in his bank account each week, he could put in 20. Or you can put in 30. But if they both keep adding 10, Emma is always going to have more money than Jorge. All right, so that's just one little example. Let's look at another one. All right, so I am on page 815 in your workbook. So I would turn to page 815. All right, so it says Tim and Jill each have a piggy bank. Tim starts with $1.25 in his bank and puts in $50 each week. Jill starts with $2.75 in her bank and also puts 50 cents in each week. Complete the table to show how much money each has saved after 5 weeks. All right, so we are going to be adding 50 cents in Tim and Jill. So let's look at this real quick. Who has more money to start with, Jill or Tim? Well, Jill does. And remember our example last time when we added the same amount each time? Is Tim ever going to have more money saved than Jill if they're both adding 50 cents each time? No. Okay, so let's see what they save after 5 weeks. Well, Tim, and again, it's nice to think about this like money. Okay, you can, if you want, on the side, add it up, but think about it like money. $1.25 plus 50, okay, is $1.75. $1.75 plus 50 is $2.25. And again, if you cannot do this in your head, you can add it on the side. Make sure to line up those decimal places, okay? $2.25 plus 50 is $2.75. Or, yep, $2.75. $2.75 plus 50 is $3.25. $3.25 plus 50 is $3.75. Now let's look at Jill. Jill, $2.75 plus 50 is $3.25. $3.25 plus 50 cents is $3.75. $3.75 plus 50 cents is $4.25. $4.25 plus 50 cents is $4.75. $4.75 plus 50 cents is $5.25. So we completed this. Now it says, how much money did Tim save after 5 weeks? Well, $3.75. Jill after 5 weeks? $5.25. Now number 6 says, what relationship do you notice between the amount that Tim has saved and the amount that Jill has saved? Well, this is the same kind of pattern that we noticed in the other one. How much more money in the beginning does Jill have than Tim? Well, what you can do, 125 plus what gives you 275, or 275 minus 125. Okay? And again, if you can't do that in your head, you can just write it on the side. So let's see, 275 minus 125 is $1.50. Okay? So Jill has $1.50 more than Tim in the beginning, and she has $1.50 more at the end because they're adding the same amount. All right? What other pattern? Look at the cents. What other pattern do you notice with the cents for Tim and with the cents for Jill? It's a little pattern that I see. Well, I see it goes 25.75, 25.75, 25.75 because we're only adding 50 cents. Same thing with Jill, but it's actually reversed. All right? Now, if we know this is 5 weeks for each one, this last question says, if Tim and Jill continue saving in this way, how much will each have saved after 10 weeks? Instead of filling out the chart all the way to the bottom, what can we do if this is 5 weeks for each of them and we want to find 10? What can we do with this? That will be really easy to figure that out. Well, if this is 5 weeks and we want to figure out 10, yes, we can continue the chart adding 50 cents each time, or 5 is half of 10. So can't we double these amounts to figure out what we would have for 10 weeks? We can do that. So if we double 375, we can get 375 plus 375. And we end up getting 750 after 10 weeks for Tim. Same thing if we do for Jill. 525 plus 525. We end up getting 1050 for Jill. All right, so all of this is really just about patterns and making sure that you're doing your math properly. All right, so make sure you complete the Google form that is attached to this Ed puzzle, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday.